in today's video, we'll talk about how to master follow-up and how we can make our follow-up fortunes. Because you've had the meeting, you follow up with a person and they don't get back to you. Or it's been a while since you've been in contact with someone, so how do you reactivate them? Or how often should you follow up with them? You don't want to get too pushy and lose the sale, right? So in this video, we'll tackle exactly how to do everything. By the way, this is Chris Rigouris. I've won more than 8 figures in sales, so I know a thing or two when it comes to effective follow-up. So let's start with some principles. I want you guys to realize fortunes are made in the follow-up. If everyone booked on the first invite or closed on the first call, we'd all be billionaires. But the fact is they don't. This is why most of the sales, if you follow this process, most of the sales you'll make next month will come from your pipeline, not new leads. Now, I want you to always remember, never say the F word. Big mistake everyone is making, and this comes from big sales trainer, Jeremy Miner, very bright guy, but everyone, where they're following up, they're saying, hey, just following up with you, just touching base, just checking in with you. You're saying exactly the same thing what everyone else is saying, that's essentially trying to sell them something. So how do you think that makes you look? It makes you look just like another sales guy, right? So instead of just trying to serve them or being the leader that you want to be, you're positioning yourself just like everyone else. So let's fix that. Remove any type of just touching base, just checking in, just following up with you, and I'll show you what to say instead. Don't change the frequency, change the channel. So a lot of people, they feel, hesitancy when they've sent a couple of messages and then 7 days go by, no replies. And now they're thinking, oh, do I have to send another message now? What do I do? Well, follow-up feels aggressive when we spam irrelevant messaging on one channel. But if we spread our follow-up across different channels, that's where we have the opportunity to catch our prospects in different states. And also have the opportunity to nurture them from new angles. For example, your LinkedIn messaging and your profile and your content will be different from email, right? Or from your Twitter or from your Instagram. So you'll have the opportunity by following up with them in different channels, not to essentially harass them. So when they open up their messenger, they have 50 different texts from you, but at the same time, you stay on top of mind and you're able to essentially brainwash them with your content, with your messaging, without being so annoying by having a series of messages in one channel. So this is an example sequence. Day 1, you can hit them up over text, day 2 over email, and you can see the sequence here. You can post it, and of course, it really depends on which mediums, but the principle is switch your channels and you'll be much more effective. Another principle is consistent persistency is the major key. So being consistent and persistent is a must. Realize this, guys. Our people, they're very busy serving them and helping them by getting them to remember that we've had the conversation and we're reminding them of the problems that they have. Trust me when I say you're not being annoying, and the people will actually thank you once they buy. If someone gets, after you've had a conversation with them, if someone gets annoyed by your follow-up, number 1, probably they weren't a good fit to work with in the first place. And number 2, do you really want a prospect in your world that gets so annoyed and offended by simply just sending them another message, right? So when you ask yourself the question, how much should you follow up? The answer is as much as it takes until you win the sale, or they tell you that you're not interested, and that's perfectly fine as well. But you have their permission to close their file and move on to help someone else. Let's look at the process. What's super important, what I want you to take away is I want you to have 2 lists. One list that we call a hot list and one list that we call a cold list. So your hot list, what is it exactly? Since you've had direct conversations with these people, we should be on top of them. So these are the people that you've had a call in the last, let's say 14 days is a good period. So you should have those people, you can have it on a whiteboard, you can have it on a CRM. You have to create a stage where you have your hot list. These are your targets for the next 14 days. So you know exactly how to stay on top of them. These people are not going to fall through the cracks, and you'll know to be in touch with them frequently. So unless they have told you, don't follow up, I'll make a decision, or for whatever reason, which rarely happens, you have to be on top of mind. So if you leave a prospect to follow up with you on their own, you'll have a good chance of losing that sale completely because people are getting distracted. So let's look at the scripting. Day 0, right after the meeting, always send something, guys. No matter how well the conversation went, And if you don't close on the call, and maybe you have a longer sales cycle, or for whatever reason you didn't win the sale, I want you to send this. So thanks again for taking the time to speak with me about your business. Really enjoyed it. You're very clear on why now is an important time to take action and get the right support and plan in place so you can get to the outcome that you want. We want them to remind themselves of the exact outcome and also press on the urgency a little bit. What I also like to do is record a quick video just to summarize their main points of the discussion, show them the deliverables, but also tie the deliverables to the benefits. Because what I don't want to happen is throw a bunch of features of my product and them not knowing how to tie those features into the benefits of what they actually get. And what that thing will do for them. Then, depending on what I'm selling, I can add a proposal or a landing page with case studies, just so I'm giving them all the information that they need, and it's very directed, it's a journey. And I'm also going to include the next step, because I want to make it easy for them to enroll. Because if I tell them, hey, reach back out for the link, then we're gonna have to have another conversation and send them the link again. So I want to arm them and put them in the best possible position to close on their own. So that's day 0. I want you to follow up right the next day. A lot of people say, oh, Chris, it's way too soon. Guys, you have to realize that today we're bombarded with thousands of messages. So unless you're on top of that person, then that they're hot, they've realized their problem, they know that they want to fix it, you have to be on top of them. So I want you to follow up with something like very simple, easy to answer. We're not going for the close, we're just looking for a reminder and re-engagement. So what I like to say is, hi name, did you have any questions, or how would you like to proceed? I'm not gonna say, are you ready to get started? I don't want to trigger resistance. So I'm just gonna uncover if they have any questions, or essentially where should we go from here. The following day, if I haven't heard back, we're starting to get red flags here, so I still want to be on top of it. All I'm going to say is name, and this is very strategic because I don't want to follow up in a way that shows neediness. They're not the only person that I'm talking to, right? I'm not desperate for the sale, but at the same time, I need to know if I should keep up on following up with them because I'm a busy guy, but at the same time, see if they're not interested at all. Now, what happens afterwards if they haven't still replied? I like to take here the humorous approach because something is not landing on their end, they haven't, that maybe wasn't answered, or there's a hidden objection and they have started to ignore my messages. So what I want to do, I need a pattern interrupt. So how I do that is by humor. So you can use something or a variation of this template. Hey Chris, I'm worried about you. I've reached out a couple of times, but I haven't heard back. Could you reach out and let me know you're alright? I'm totally okay if you're out for joining me inside the program or whatever you're selling. Just let me know so I don't have to schedule an hour with my therapist. Again, I like to keep it humorous and fun. Then I'm gonna let a few days go by, and because now we're day 7 and I haven't heard back from them, I want to start moving away from the sale. Again, the last thing I want is to show neediness. So now I want to start taking away the solution so I can see if there's interest from them to save the sale. Because if someone is interested but maybe has a hidden objection, if I go negative, so if I go to close the file for them, or I'm gonna take away all the benefits that I just presented to them, if I take them away from them, someone who wants to work with me, he will try to save the sale themselves. So this is powerful psychology going on here. So I'm gonna say name, maybe you've changed your mind here. If it's not 100% heck yes, should we make it a no? And I know I'm gonna hear all about it in the comments. This is risky and you're gonna lose the sale. Guys, this is a lost sale at this stage. What we're doing is saving the sale by using takeaway. So again, if I haven't done such a terrible job and the person is straight up ignoring me, they will come back and they will save the sale themselves. We're gonna follow up. If I still don't hear back from them, I'm gonna follow up an emoji or something like "you alive, lol," or a meme, a funny GIF, or a funny photo where you can. One very creative way is to use one of these filters that make you look old. Snap a picture with that filter and write something like "still waiting for you to reply." So I've done this a couple of times and it works great. And 2 weeks in, like this is the last follow-up, is I'm gonna attempt to close their file essentially. And this is when they exit my hot list and they enter the cold list. So how I do that is, hey, I haven't heard back from you. Would you like to continue this conversation or should I close your file? And you're done. Again, would you like to continue or are we done here? Let's move into the cold list. And we have a few options here. The frequency, like after it's been 2 weeks, I haven't heard back from them, or if this is someone who said, hey, I'm not interested, right? I want to follow up with them in a month. So they will stay in my pipeline, they will enter the cold list, but I still want to keep nurturing them and adding value. And let's look at how we can do it. So the frequency here, once or twice a month, what I can send them is I want to start with something value-based. So whenever I create a new training, whenever a relevant, let's say, study or a market trend that I notice online comes up, I want to send it to them. I'm not gonna do any asks. All I want is to get my name on top of their inbox. So I can say something like, hey, Chris, here are some tips and tricks so you can get results based on your goal. Hey, name, hope you're well. I just created a new training on, let's say, sales and thought of you. Here's the link if you want to check it out. And after 2 to 3 days after you send them the resource, I want you to follow up with, hey, name, did you get a chance to see what I sent over? Just curious around your thoughts. And this gives you a nice way to touch base with them and open the conversation again. The second way that you can use is what we call event-based. And here we have first the case study. So you can say something like, whenever you get a client result, hey Chris, hope you're well. We've been getting some unreal results for clients inside of the program and it made me think about you and your business. What would this need to look like for you to make it a no-brainer to work together? So essentially, I'm letting them know that we've been getting some crazy results. I can share some of those results and then I can make the ask. Another variation is to actually map out an entire case study. Hey, just sharing a quick client story with Emily. We've been getting some great results for her. She's gotten 2 sales using our sales process. Now, does it make sense to have a discussion to see if we can get you similar results? Again, we're leading with social proof. We want to get her to raise her hand. Another piece here is I can also send an invite to my program, or if you're working with select people, you can open up some spots and you can use some of that. Hey, I'm putting together a new group in the next 60 days where I'm going to work with a handful of private clients. Would you like to work together? I know you had mentioned you wanted to get to 50,000 by November. Did you hit that goal or are you still on your way there? So if you take great notes, and this goes along with every one of your sales conversations, you should know that their goal, for example, if it is to lose weight, they want to lose 50 pounds by November. So in your CRM or whenever you're keeping notes, if you note that, hey, Chris wants to lose 50 pounds by November, and if November comes along, it's a great opportunity for you to send an email that says, hey, I know it's November, I know you had mentioned that you wanted to lose 50 pounds. Did you hit that goal or are you still working towards that? So this gives you a nice way to show them that you really care if they hit that goal, and that's where you can come in and help them out. Number 3 is the Reactivator, and this is very straightforward but very powerful, and you can send this again even once a month. Subject line, if you send this over an email, you can use name or quick question, and all I want you to do is, hi Chris, are you still looking to achieve outcome? So if you have your notes, you can simply use this what we call 9-word email. It came from Dean Jackson, legendary marketer. Hey, are you still trying to figure out how to get clear on your offer? Are you still trying to fix your lead quality? Are you still looking to get your closing rate in the 30 to 50% range? So all we're looking for is them to raise their hand, and we're able to have a conversation, get them on the phone, and win the sale. And that wraps it up for our follow-up. So if you've enjoyed the content and you've watched more than 2 videos and you like what you see, what are you waiting for? Out of courtesy, just subscribe to the channel. More good stuff on the way. Also, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, pumping out a lot of good content there. And if you want to learn how to sell and have a predictable sales process, so you don't only have to rely on follow-up, but you know how to actually sell and win sales, I'm gonna work with a handful more clients in the next 6 months to help them at least double their revenue. Obviously, it depends what stage of the business you're in. Like in larger companies, we can see a nice 20 to 30% lift just by optimizing the sales process. So if that's of interest to you, just send me a DM with the word VIP on Instagram or Twitter, or you'll have these scripts, just book in partnership chat on the link there, and looking forward to discussing.